Hello everyone, this is Nicholas Acosta and welcome to another video. Have you ever been browsing the iOS App Store or the Android App Store, Mac or Windows App Stores? Maybe you've been on a certain website and run across a piece of software or an app that you wanted to install on this device, only to find out that after installing it, the app wasn't made accessible to people who are blind or visually impaired. Well, I've been down that road many times, but I am here to tell you that my dream is your future. Why? Well, you will find out in just a moment. I have been learning how to write apps for iOS and Mac and other platforms for about 5 years now. It's a challenge when you're totally blind and you're trying to develop your first app for iOS and submit it into the App Store. But I've gotten a lot of help from people who are also blind who've developed and submitted their apps to the App Store. This video is meant to inspire you, and I'm also here to tell you that you can do anything you want when you have a disability. If you want to go to college and study computers, you can study computers. You can do anything your heart desires, as long as you put your mind to it and you work very hard at it. I never knew if I was going to go to college, but after some thought, I decided, yes, I'm going to give this a shot. A lot of people told me in the past, you're not going to do well in college. You're not good at the computer. And I ignored them. And I'm still following my dream, and I'm going to follow my dream. And hopefully I'll be starting college in January. So don't let your disability let you down. Whether you're blind or visually impaired, go ahead and follow your dream. So, the only thing I want to tell you is that certain apps that I've downloaded, either from the iOS App Store, the Mac App Store, sometimes these are apps for the Mac that are designed by a third party, so you have to download the app from the website or from the Mac App Store. Even on the Windows platform, there are pieces of software that I've run across and I've been very interested, only to find out that after installation, they weren't accessible to people who use a screen reader. And a screen reader, for those of you that don't know, is a piece of software that is built into a computer, like an iPhone, an iPod, an iPod Touch, a Mac computer. Apple has what is called VoiceOver, a built-in revolutionary screen reader for the blind and visually impaired. So, for Android users, we have Google's TalkBack screen reader, which is also built into the Android operating system. For Windows, there are several different screen readers. Windows has its own screen reader called Narrator, which is built into the operating system, and you can use this when you get a brand new computer to set it up right out of the box. Also, if you're purchasing a new iOS device, such as iPhone, iPad, or iPod Touch, or maybe a Mac desktop or laptop, you will be pleased because it has a built-in screen reader called VoiceOver. So, once you turn on your iOS device for the first time and you're going to set it up, just triple click your home button. If you are a VoiceOver user and you can't see the screen, this will guide you through the setup of your device. If you're on Android, You can turn the unit on your phone or tablet and place 2 fingers on the screen for a few seconds until you hear the TalkBack screen reader talking. So I don't really have much experience with Android, but I have iOS, Mac, and Windows experience. My first laptop that I got was a Windows 7, and I still have that laptop, and it's now running Windows 10. It was running Windows 10 Home Premium. Now the operating system that it's running is Windows 10 Professional. I like Windows 10, but there are certain apps in the App Store and pieces of software from third-party websites that could be made accessible. And so I've come to tell all of you that my dream is your future. Throughout my career, I plan to develop pieces of software that are accessible for everyone. And yes, it's great to know that when you're developing on the Apple platform for iOS or Mac or Apple Watch or even the Apple TV platforms, that your interface elements will be accessible right out of the box. The reason why certain apps aren't made accessible on iOS or Mac devices, or maybe even Android or Windows devices, is because of the elements, the custom elements that are used to make the app. And certain developers maybe don't know what VoiceOver is, or maybe you just can't implement VoiceOver support into the app. So, for example, some of the Photoshop apps, well, I should say most of the Photoshop apps aren't accessible that I've tried. Procreate, Pixelmator, some of these graphics editing tools are not accessible to a VoiceOver user. And so I wonder if there will ever be an app or piece of software for the blind that will allow you to become a graphics designer. I wonder if a blind person will ever be able to use a piece of software like that, the same way sighted people do. I don't know if people have tried working on this type of technology, but I hope it comes out in the future. And if I could ever try working on it, I would. I've been very interested in computers for a long time. And so this is why I want to go to college and get a master's degree or higher, because I want to work for a computer company, or maybe be the next Bill Gates or Steve Jobs, or maybe be the next Tim Cook, and in creating a piece of software or hardware for the blind, because I'm totally blind myself, and I don't think it's fair that sometimes these websites, a lot of websites aren't made accessible for people who are totally blind. A lot of pieces of software aren't made accessible. And sometimes when I'm doing something on a website or I'm using a piece of software, I have to have my mother come and help me out. But as I mentioned earlier, I would love to be either the next Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Tim Cook, or I just want to create the next best app, the next great thing, because I care about accessibility, and you should too. And if you've heard any of my previous videos on Mosen Consulting, Jonathan Mosen has been in the software evaluation. He's been in the software field for a long time, evaluating pieces of software. He's also into his radio broadcasting, and he's also an author. If you've visited the Mosen Consulting Store, you will see that he's written a bunch of ebooks and published a bunch of audio tutorials on many different pieces of software and many different devices. So I want to do the same and create something that'll change someone's life forever. And always remember, I'm gonna say it again, my dream is your future. Thank you very much for listening and have a nice day.